Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm going to be doing a deck roundup for the Sword and Shield On format. As I mentioned in my last video, I've really been enjoying the Sword and Shield On format, and this is a whole bunch of decks. I believe there are 12 decks that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today that are all in the Sword and Shield On format. You can all play these in Sword and Shield On tournaments that are going on right now. But yeah, we have a whole bunch of them, and I can get right into them. The first one is Sword and Shield On Colossal. This is one where we're playing 2 copies of Rotom with that Roto Choice ability that we play it down from our hand onto our bench during our turn. We get to search our deck for 2 item cards, have the word Rotom in our name, and reveal them, put them in our hand. So this allows us to do is search out Rotom Phone, which lets us put energy on top of our deck for Eruption Shot, and as well as Rotom Bike, so we can get a little bit of extra draw on the opening turns. Colossal with the Eruption Shot attack does 40 damage for 1 fighting, but we also have to discard the top card of our deck. But if it's an energy card, then it does 90 more damage, and we get to attach it to Colossal. So we are using a Rotom to search our Rotom phones, and using a Rangaroo with Primate Wisdom to get our energy from our hand on top of the deck. We also have 1 copy of Celebi with Woodland Stroll to look at the top 6 and find energy, so it helps us power up our energy for Colossal, and also find our energy to use with Primate Wisdom. We are playing Quad Hyper Potion in this list. Hyper Potion is heal 120 damage for one of your Pokemon that is at least 2 energy attached, and if you healed any damage, discard 2 energy. So you have 4 energy in your Colossal. You can play 2 Hyper Potion, heal 240 damage, and then discard 4 energy. It's fine because you have a 1 energy. That's not Colossal. It's fine because you have a 1 energy attack, and also Stone Energy makes you take less damage. You could also add Big Charm to this deck to make Colossal even more tanky. So Colossal, definitely a really good contender. Next we have Goons. Goons is a deck in the standard format right now, and this is my take on it for the Sword and Shield On format. In this list, we're only actually running a 1/1 line of Galarian Obstagoon. That's just because you're running Scuba Nets. It's only really here for using Headbutt Tantrum and Untamed Shout to take knockouts on things. We also have Snorlax, Jirachi, Mazinger, and Manaphy as some support Pokemon. Mainly, we're going to be wanting to get out our Decidueye as quick as we can with that Deep Forest Camo ability that prevents all damage done to it by attacks from Pokemon V and Pokemon GX. So that can completely wall off a lot of decks. And also Splitting Arrow, which deals 90 damage and also deals 20 damage to 2 of our opponent's bench Pokemon. So what that means is that we can wall off decks while dealing damage and setting up, with that 20 damage, setting up either multiple prize turns or setting up KOs on things that might be able to deal with our Decidueye, get some damage in. So yeah, it's just the main way of the deck. We're playing 4 copies of Evolution Incense, 4 copies of Great Ball, 4 copies of Quick Ball as the Pokemon search, 4 Rare Candy, 3 Skill Net, 2 Switch, so very consistent engine. And we are running 2 Bosses Orders, 3 Marnie, and 4 Professor's Research, but we're also running Gym Trainer. Gym Trainer reads that you draw 2 cards, but if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you get to draw 2 more cards. You could draw 4 cards if one of your opponent's Pokemon was knocked out. I think it fits perfectly in this deck because maybe you have a Decidueye in your hand, but no Rare Candy. Well, maybe if one of your Pokemon was knocked out, maybe like your Snorlax was knocked out after using Gormandize to bring your hand all the way to 7, then you can play Gym Trainer and maybe draw into that Rare Candy. So yeah, 2 Boss, 3 Gym Trainer, 3 Marnie, 4 Research. Our draw, and we also have 1 copy of Air Balloon and 1 copy of Telescopic Sight. Telescopic Sight makes the Pokemon attached to use attacks with 30 more damage to our opponent's bench Pokemon V and Pokemon GX. That means if our opponent plays like literally nothing to deal with our Decidueye, that means our Splitting Arrow can do 50 damage to our opponent's Pokemon V and Pokemon GX, which means we can end the game faster. Maybe the match won't go to time, which is the main thing when playing Decidueye. Sometimes matches can go to time. We are playing 3 copies of Aurora Energy because it counts as both Grass Energy for Splitting Arrow and Darkness Energy for Galarian Obstagoon if you happen to come up against something like a straight Zosh deck. Obstruct completely walls off straight Zosh decks. Whereas Decidueye might not, because they might be playing things like Oranguru and they can attack without Oranguru. 4 copies of Capture Energy, so we want to be able to get our Pokemon into play. So even more search. So we have 4 Quick Ball, 4 Great Ball, and 4 Capture Energy as means of finding our basics, and our single copy of Nappy. We're going to be getting our basics most of the time. 1 copy of Darkness Energy and 2 copies of Grass Energy for this one. Next, we have the deck that I did my video on yesterday. This is the deck I'm currently playing in the Sword and Shield On format right now, and that is Dragga Pull Chinchino. For those of you who didn't see my video, you use Dragga Pull with that max Phantom attack for 2 Psychic Energies. You deal 130 damage, and you also get to put 5 damage counters on your opponent's special Pokemon any way you like. So you can set up for multiple prize turns with this guy. Then you also use Suspicious Food Tin to heal 80 damage for one of your Psychic Pokemon, and then discard a Psychic Energy attached to it. So you use that to heal your damage, but there's no acceleration for Psychics. Fortunately, every single VMAX gets acceleration in the form of Rose. So we use Rose to power up our Dragga Pull, and then use Suspicious Food Tin to heal off that damage. And then when we play Rose, we have to discard our hand. So what we do is we can use Rose Tower, which lets us, when it's in play, draw into with 3 cards in our hand. And from there, we can use our Chinchino to replenish our hand back up to a healthy 7 cards or so. So, yeah, that is the list. We also have Core Psychic Energy to supplement our damage, and very, very straightforward support into 1 Crobat, 1 Eldegoss. So I really, really like this deck. I think this deck is very powerful, especially with Galarian, Zapdos V, Rapid Striker Shifu, Single Striker Shifu, and Colossal, keeping Eternitis in check in the Sword and Shield On format. I think Dragga Pull, with all those fighting Pokemon in the format, fighting be a pretty good type in the format, because you hit weakness on Eternitis. Because all those decks keep Eternitis in check, Dragga Pull is free to be the BDIF. So I think this Dragga Pull deck is the BDIF in this format. So that is definitely the deck to play if you're looking for the best deck out of these. Next, we have Eternitis. Stone Cold Classic with the Eternitis VMAX, which does 30 damage for each your Darkness Pokemon play, but Eternal Zone makes it so you can have 8 bench Pokemon, but they all have to be Darkness types. So what we do is we fill up our bench with Darkness types and then hit for huge numbers with Dread End. So we can deal up to 270 damage with Dread End, and we don't stop there. We can do even more damage with Galarian Zigzagoon. Usually we want to be either 2-shotting a VMAX or using one of our 4 copies of Boss's Orders to take a knockout on your opponent's evolving V before it can get to that VMAX stage, and that will put you very ahead in the game. We also have 1 copy of Sableye V to deal with Zamazenta, and 4 copies of Crobat. So very consistent Pokemon, just 4 of that, 4 of this, 4 of this, 4, and only 1 one-of copy Pokemon. Moving into the trainers, pretty consistent standard stuff. 4 Quick Ball, 4 Great Ball, 2 Evolution Incense. So Evolution Incense helps us search only out our VMAX, but allows us to use our Great Ball to get more basic Pokemon to play. 4 copies of Switch, and 2 copies of Galarmine. Galarmine is what helps us combat Cinderace. Cinderace is a very powerful force in this metagame because it hits Zacian V for weakness. And Zacian is probably the BDIF of this format alongside Dragga Pull. But Galarmine makes it so it's harder for Cinderace to move its Pokemon around. One of the main things that makes Cinderace good is because it can move its Cinderaces and Pokemon around, because moving their Pokemon around is how they generate and accelerate their energy. So Galarmine stopping our opponent from moving their Pokemon around fluently helps us have a better matchup against that. But it also affects us. It makes our Pokemon overshoot cost of 2 more. So we are running 4 copies of Switch and 3 copies of Birdkeeper to make sure that we can fluently move our Pokemon around. As I mentioned, 4 copies of Boss's Orders, 4 copies of Marnie, and 4 copies of Research. So, like, 4 supporters, and then 2 copies of Air Balloon, and 10 Darkness Energy. A very, very powerful deck. Another one that you might want to be considering, only because you hit a weakness on Dragga Pull. If you can hit Dragga Pull, then you're feeling good because you hit weakness on that. So, next we have Orbeetle. Orbeetle is a Pokemon VMAX with an ability Eerie Beam, where once during a turn, when it's in the active, we can put 1 damage counter on each of our opponent's Pokemon. So we set up multiple Orbeetles, spread a whole bunch of damage with Eerie Beam, and then do even more damage with Gmax Wave, which costs 2 energy and deals 50 damage, but it deals 50 more damage for each energy attached to our opponent's active Pokemon. So we can spread damage around and then hit with Gmax Wave. So we have a 4/4 of the Orbeetle just because we can get multiple Eerie Beams up and running. If we can move around our Orbeetles, then we can maybe even use 3 to 4 Eerie Beam abilities each turn. So pretty consistent engine, just 4/4 VMAX, and then 3 Snorlax, 1 Evolution Incense, because we also 2 play Turf Field, 4 copies of Great Ball, 4 copies of Quick Ball, and then 2 copies of Hyper Potion, because we can use that on our VMAX, maybe attach it to return. We don't play any acceleration other than in Bead, the 1 copy of it. Oops. Just a 4/4 line. So if we can manage to turn attack to our Orbeetle enough, that means we can use Hyper Potion to heal some damage off of it. A 3 Turf Field, which is a stadium, and when it's in play, each player, once they're in the search their deck for an Evolution Grass Pokemon. So that's going to help you steadily build up your board of Orbeetles. 1 Bead, 4 Bird Keeper, because we want to be able to move around our different Orbeetles to get multiple Eerie Beam abilities in a turn. 2 copies of Boss's Orders, 4 copies of Marnie, 4 copies of Professor's Research, 3 copies of Air Balloon, because once again, we want to be able to move around our Orbeetles, so that's where very consistent switch engine comes in with the 4 switch, 4 Bird Keeper, 3 Air Balloon. And then the energies is just 4 Aromatic, 4 Capture, and 5 Grass. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. Next, we have Toxicity. Toxicity is one that I don't think has been seeing play very much in the Sword and Shield On tournaments, but this is an overlooked Pokemon VMAX in this format, I think. It has an attack for 2 lightning and then colorless VMAX right. It deals 160 damage, which already is 2-shotting most VMAX in the format, aside from Eternitis VMAX. We have ways of damage modifying it, especially in its own attack. And if our opponent's side Pokemon is poisoned, it does 240 damage. So the way we're going to poison our opponent is with Garbodor with the Poisonous Puddle ability. Once during a turn, if a stadium is in play, you make your opponent's side Pokemon poisoned. Stadiums that we are running in the list, just 2 Rose Tower, because it helps you out draw cards, so there's no other really nice stadium you really want to play, and you can't rely on your opponent having a stadium because not every single deck in the format has a stadium. We also have Toxicroak to increase our poison damage, so if we can get like one of these Toxicroaks out, and that means we, maybe even 2. If you want to run a 3/3 line, that's fine, because if you get 2 of them out, then the poison damage going into your turn, because you hit for Gmax Riot, that's 240, and then the poison, they get poisoned, I believe, for 5 damage counters, and it comes back in your turn, and they're get knocked out because of the poison damage with their Pokemon VMAX. So a 3/3 line of Toxicroak, you might want to play that, but I think this is fine. So you already have a lot of stage ones anyway. And the way you're getting your energy into play and accelerating it is with Bolt-on V with that Electrify attack, where you search your deck for up to 2 lightning energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon any way you like, and then shuffle your deck. So this is what accelerates your energy onto your Toxicity for Gmax Riot. We also have the Toxicity V, which is actually not a bad attacker in its own right. It has a smaller version of Gmax Riot. It has Electric Riot, which is the same attack cost as Gmax Riot, and it deals 90 damage, and if our opponent's at a Pokemon is poisoned, it deals 180 damage. So if we have a couple Toxicroaks out, it can be a nice way maybe to one-shot a Pokemon V, but mainly it can be a nice way to just 2-shot a VMAX or set up for a knockout with your huge VMAX. So that is this. Going into trainers, we have 1 copy of Energy Switch because we don't have very much acceleration other than in the form of Boltund. 2 Evolution Incense, just realized I need to make this big. 2 Evolution Incense, because I mentioned we have 3 Evolution lines, 4 Great Ball, which will help you get out those Evolution lines as well, and 4 Quick Ball, 4 Switch, 2 Rose Tower, 3 Boss's Orders, 3 Marnie, 4 Research, 1 Balloon, 4 Speed Lighting Energy, which is a nice consistency card. All the Pokemon you want to be attaching to Boltund and Toxicity are Lightning Pokemon, which means Speed Energy will help you benefit a lot because it helps you draw more cards, helps you get out your evolutions easier, and then we just have 8 copies of Basic Lightning. Yes, okay. Next we have the poster boy of this format, Straight Zosh. Zosh, of course, is one of the most powerful cards ever printed, has an amazing ability, draws cards and accelerates energy, and a very powerful attack. In this deck, we're going to be trying to do the same thing that Eternitis VMAX does, where we power up a Pokemon and then boss our opponent's evolving V Pokemon as fast as he can to try and get ahead. The The cool thing about Zacian, though, is that we trade better with the VMAXs. So that's the benefit to playing the Zacian. You also have energy acceleration, but your energy attack costs more. So both Eternitis and Zacian, same kind of style of decks, but I think Zacian has a little bit more tricks in the form of Zamazenta with that Dauntless Shield ability. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacking your opponent's Pokemon VMAX. Eternitis VMAX lists that aren't playing Sableye might have a hard time getting through this Zamazenta because they don't play anything that can actually hit this guy other than their V, which only does like 130 damage or 120 damage for 4. So not a very good attacker versus this guy. And then we have 4 copies of Quick Ball and 2 copies of Great Ball. Just not playing that very many Pokemon. Just 4 Zacian, 2 Jirachi, run Eldegoss, 2 Crobat, 2 Rangaroo, 2 Zamazenta, 4 Metal Saucer. It is an amazing energy acceleration tool for your Zacian. 4 Scuba Net because you want to be able to maybe spam that Jirachi and get your metal energies on top of the deck with both the Jirachi and Oranguru. 4 copies of Switch, 1 copy of Birdkeeper, 4 copies of Boss's Orders, 3 copies of Marnie, and 4 copies of Research. So a lot of these Sword and Shield on formats you're seeing the engine be 3 to 4 Boss's Orders, 4 Marnie, 4 Research, and a Birdkeeper. It's a pretty powerful draw engine. You just have so many supporters that draw you cards as well as a destruction one, which is nice. 2 copies of Air Balloon because Brave Blade does state that it can't attack, which means you're going to have to switch the Zacian onto your bench and then back into the act if you're going to want to use Brave Blade with the same Zacian again. So just a switch and maybe an Air Balloon on that Jirachi will help you with that. And the reason we're not going to want to be attaching the Air Balloon to Zacian is because we have access to Cape of Toughness, which gives it extra 50 HP, which means now your Zacian has 270 HP, which is absolutely gigantic on only 2 price Pokemon. Once again, going with that idea that Zacian will trade better with Pokemon VMAX and Eternitis. And then just 12 Metal Energy. Still have a lot more to go, don't we? Just realize I need to be searching this. Okay. I think I'm going to start going over things quicker. Next, we have Disruption Dragga Pull. This is the starting point when I started building my Dragga Pull list. It's a lot similar to the Eternitis, except it plays 4 Crushing Hammer and a 1/1 line of Clefable and 1 Zuzu. So more Scuba Net focused build with the Energy Denial. This Scuba Net becomes a damage modifier and an Energy Denial card, which is very powerful. And we also have standard 4 copies of Crushing Hammer. Same as Eternitis, we are running 2 Color Mine to try and combat that Cinderace deck. We have 1 copy of Teenyog Ground to even add to our Energy Denial that we have possible. 3 copies of Boss's Orders, 4 Marnie, 4 Research. The very powerful thing that Dragga Pull can do is that it can Marnie your opponent turn after turn after turn because it doesn't need that much to get set up, right? It just needs its V, its double energy, and its VMAX. So if you have 2 copies of Crobat, that means Marnie, if you Marnie your opponent, you can maybe Marnie them into a dead hand, and you don't need very much to get your main Pokemon set up, but maybe your opponent does. So that's where you disrupt your opponent. 4 copies of Research, 1 copy of Toon Grunt, 1 Air Balloon, 4 Horror as a damage modifier, and 8 regular Psychic. Next we have, this isn't, I don't think as meta as the other ones that we've shown, but we have Tar Generator Colossal. This Colossal has a ability where once during a turn we can attach a Fire Energy card and a Fighting Energy card, or one of each, from our discard pile to one of our bench Pokemon, or to our Pokemon in any way that we like. That allows us to turn after turn power up powerful attackers. We have a whole bunch in this list. We have 1 Cramorant V with that awesome Spit Shot attack, can be used to finish out games and also just take KOs on maybe basic single price Pokemon. We've got Galarian Surfetched with that awesome Meteor Smash attack, which does a lot of damage for a low attack cost. 1 copy of Ninetales, which can copy attacks and do a decent amount of damage, but honestly, Flamethrower, not a great attack. Honestly, you're going to be using Ninetales Shapeshifter, which is a very powerful attack most of the time. Talonflame V, Fast Flight, lets you discard a hand, draw 6, but you can use it on your first turn. So, if you went first. So that allows you to dig for your Bear Candy Colossal even more. 1 copy of Torkoal. Torkoal helps you against the Eternitis matchup, because usually Eternitis would just run through your guys. You wouldn't have any chance of being able to keep up. But Torkoal, with that Steam Crush attack, which deals 120 damage, and you discard 2 energy from your opponent's side of Pokemon. that helps you keep up with Eternitis, because I mentioned when I was doing Eternitis, it doesn't have any energy acceleration. So Torkoal really takes advantage of that, being like, okay, I'm going to discard 2 energy, but you don't have any energy acceleration. That means I just basically get a free hit on you. 1 Eldegoss and 1 Jirachi. 2 Hyper Potion, because Hyper Potion we can discard a fire and a fighting, and I just re-accelerate them with Colossal. 4 Quick Balls, 4 Rare Candies, 4 Switch, 4 copies of Alistair. Let's just draw 3 cards and discard up to 3 cards from our hand. That's how we're going to initially get our energies in the discard. 2 copies of Marnie and 4 copies of Opal. No research in this deck. That's because we are actually running Opal instead, which reads flip 2 coins, search your deck for any number of cards equal to the number of heads, put them into your hands. This is what also helps you get out your Rare Candy Colossal. You can also search out your Crobat when you need it, or maybe an Eldegoss for Marnie. 1 Air Balloon and 2 Cape of Toughness, because all the Pokemon we want to be attacking with are basic V Pokemon, which means we can give most of our Pokemon 250 to 270 HP with Cape of Toughness, 6 Fighting, and 6 Fire. Next, search again. We have Whimsicott. Okay, Whimsicott is a card that saw play at the beginning of the Vivid Voltage meta, saw a decent amount of success, and then just stopped. And that's mostly because it takes a really bad ADP matchup. You can play Latios and stuff, but we're not talking about the standard format right now. We're talking about Sword and Shield On. Whimsicott has the awesome attack Flying Fury. For 1 Psychic Energy, you deal 10 damage, and you discard all tools from your Pokemon and deals 40 damage for each one. So, as you can imagine, we were playing a whole bunch of tools. We were playing 4 Air Balloon, 3 Big Parasol. I'll get to what all these do in a minute. 3 Lucky Eggs, 3 Rocky Helmet, and 2 Vitality Band. So we were running a lot of tools. I don't know how many of these you guys can count. But we are running a whole bunch of tools. So the main thing that makes Whimsicott not as powerful in this format is that we don't have U-turn board. U-turn board, when it's discarded, it goes straight into our hand. It means we can reattach it and do Flying Fury again. But to help with that, we are playing Garbodor. Garbodor with the Trash Cyclone attack deals 30 damage. It doesn't deal 30 damage. It deals 30 damage times the amount of Pokemon tools in your discard pile, and you shuffle them all into your deck. So, as you can imagine, we play a lot of different Pokemon tools, which means if we've attacked a couple of times with Whimsicott, it means Trash Cyclone will be one-shotting a VMAX. Not only will it be one-shotting a VMAX, but it's a Dark Pokemon, which means it hits weakness on Dragga Pull, which is probably the BDIF in this format. So, Garbodor is how we respond to the rotation of U-turn board. And in terms of everything else, we just have 3 copies of Evolution Instance because our draw engine is with Nishino to get extra tools we maybe not need in the discard pile. 2 copies of Crobat. We have 3 Great Ball, 4 Quick Ball, 1 Switch, 1 Boss's Orders, 3 Marnie, 4 Research, and then all of our tools for Air Balloon. Air Balloon's we only play 1 copy of Switch, so Air Balloon will be used on Pokemon we do not have Free Retreat, because Whimsicott actually has Free Retreat, which is kind of nice. Oh yeah, it also has the attack 1 color straw 3, so that can be used sometimes. And then Big Parasol reads, as long as this Pokemon discards attached to you in the active spot, you prevent all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon on all your Pokemon. So this is for Dragga Pull. Dragga Pull places 5 damage counters, which means they're going to be able to easily knock out your Cinccino. So that's how you keep Dragga Pull from being able to KO your bench Pokemon really easily. 3 copies of Lucky Egg, because if your hand is small, Lucky Egg will be nice to replenish your hand, and it's a Pokemon tool, which means you can discard it. We have 3 copies of Rocky Helmet to help modify your damage. 3 copies of Vitality Band to also help modify your damage. 2 copies of Twin Energy, and 5 copies of Psychic, but you could probably play 4 copies of Horror Psychic Energy. I'm just realizing that now, actually. Play Horror Psychic Energy over the basics. Just play 4 Horror Psychic Energy and 1 Psychic. So that is the Whimsicott deck. Now, let's Cinderace. This is another really good deck from this format. It's a single price deck. It's a single price stage 2 deck. But this deck does work. Cinderace is a stage 2 and it has the awesome ability Libero. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active spot, you may attach up to 2 fire energy cards from your discard pile to it. And then a very powerful attack, Flare Striker, which deals 190 damage, and you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. So you can also punish when your opponent does not take a KO. Because you can just switch out of your Cinderace, pop it right back into the active spot again, use Libero, and then attach those energies from your discard pile back on your Cinderace to use Flare Striker again. So there's 2 shots. So the things that this deck has going for it is 2 shots every VMAX, and it 1-shots Zosh, which is probably the BDIF in the format along with Dragga Pull, as I've been saying the entire video. But we have to be able to get energies in our discard pile. To do that, we're going to use the Evolution Roar Glaring Meowth, which lets us basically in this deck just discard 2 cards from your hand. Just being able to discard 2 cards from your hand helps you get your fire energy in the discard pile, but also it helps you draw extra cards with Crobat. So it has awesome synergy with this deck, being able to discard your fires and then draw more with Crobat. And then 2 Evolution Incense, so we can search out our Cinderaces. 4 copies of Great Ball, 1 Ordinary Rod, so we can be able to stream multiple Cinderaces. We have 3 copies of Pokegear 3.0, 4 copies of Quick Ball. Now, the reason we're playing 3 copies of Pokegear 3.0 is because we don't actually play any Marnie. And that is because we play Research. Now, the reason we're not playing any Marnie is because a lot of the time we're going to be playing a Research over Marnie. That's why we're playing the 1 Oranguru, because we're not playing Marnie to preserve cards. So Research helps you get fire energy in the discard pile, and that's why we're just playing Gears over Marnie, because Research helps us get our energies in the discard pile. We would otherwise not want to play Marnie because they don't get those energies in the discard pile. 3 copies of Air Balloon, so we want to be able to maneuver our Cinderaces. 3 capture energy, so we can consistently get out our Scorbunny, because you don't always need to get the turn 1 attachment on Scorbunny. You can capture energy something and then get out your Scorbunny, and later, next turn, you can evolve it into the stage 2, attach your energy for the turn, Libero, attach 2 energies when it moves into active, and then boom, 190. So that is the Cinderace deck. Next, the last one, actually, I know there's more, but these are personal ones that I'm not going to share right now. These are ones I'm working on for the videos. We have Control. I did a video on this one already. So basically, just go check out that if you want a more in-depth look at this deck. But this is using Teddy Ursa with the baby doll eyes and Berserker with the steely claws to get rid of all your opponent's switches, and then you boss something up and mill them with Sentinel Scorch. And that's basically the deck. Just Cinchino to help you draw cards. Use Teddy Ursa to force them to use a switch to get out of the active, and Galar Mine so they can't just attach when you're up there with Sentinel Scorch. Like I said, if you want this deck more in detail, go take a look at that video. I did add a Zosh V, so yeah, that's one thing to know. I think Zosh V is very good. I don't know why I didn't have it in my deck, and then I don't know. So just get rid of all your opponent's switches with that Steely Claws attack, which for 1 metal deals 20 damage, and you flip 3 coins, and if any of them are heads, your opponent reveals their hand, and then search. You discard a trainer card there for each head, so that's how you help get rid of their switches, along with that baby doll eyes attack that forces them to use a switch to get out of the active spot. And yeah, pretty sure that's going to be it for this video. That was a lot of decks. Pretty sure this is a very long video as well. But yeah, if you guys like it, don't forget to subscribe. I do a whole bunch of Pokemon trading card game stuff, Pokemon trading card game deck lists. And yeah, that is going to be it. And I will see you guys in the next video.